What does AI look through the eyes of the generation that's growing up with it? The generation who aren't waiting for policies, promotions, or permissions, but are already building, experimenting, and questioning AI right now. And that's why today's conversation matters. My guest today represents that perspective. She's deeply involved in data, sustainability, leadership, and community building, all from within one of the most demanding universities in the world. Please welcome Tianyi Chen.
Thank you for having me, Sachin. Thank you.
Thierry, let's start with your life at Cornell. Cornell is intense, competitive. How has being in this environment sharpened the way you think, not just academically, but as a decision maker and a leader?
I grew up actually with this kind of Chinese quote, which says that college is a mini society. So it's a reflection of the real world and all the different types of people, backgrounds, and experiences you meet in the real world and see in the real world. It is reflected in your college. You're just all in one place, which is our campus. And despite this being a very, competitive and very academically rigorous environment, I have found that that statement really does hold true since coming to Cornell. There are all types of people from all different backgrounds, and most importantly, all different perspectives actually on what exactly success looks like and what a good opportunity looks like. And so I really learned from that. There's not one like right path actually amongst Cornell students. They are so diverse, and from speaking to all these different students and different people. And so regarding academics, regarding all these flywheels, academics, leadership, decision making, really what I've drawn from it is that I've gotten a lot more intentional and reflective with how I devote my time and my energy. So which classes I am taking and the opportunities I chase that are not just for prestige, but really for alignment with my personal purpose, my personal mission, and my personal goals. And same thing with leadership, being able to put myself in other people's shoes, understanding where they come from, and most importantly, bringing that community together.
Wow, that's wonderful. And you didn't just join clubs, right? You started one. You founded the Computational Club to
Yeah.
bring AI, sustainability, outreach, and education. What problem did you see on campus that made you say, someone needs to build this and it might well be me?
Yeah. So disclaimer, there are a lot of great tech and sustainability clubs that already existed on campus. So for me and my team, it wasn't about reinventing the wheel at all. It really was about addressing a lack in that space. And that lack was a human-centered, accessible, large-scale community building approach. The current clubs which currently exist, they're great, but what I noticed was that sometimes they had a very high barrier to entry. So several rounds of interviews, which is expected of clubs at Cornell University and other Ivy League institutions. And also for some environmental clubs, they were perhaps a little narrowly defined, a very specific niche in sustainability or environmentalism. Like for instance, there's a club we're pretty close to, the Birding Club, but they focus mostly on the birds and they work closely with the lab of ornithology. So no broad interdisciplinary kind of approach that brings together community and human. And that's really what our club aimed to do from the start. And for instance, what makes us stand out from other clubs in this area is we have an education and engagement team. And this specific sub-team within our club, we do have technical teams that work on tech projects and computational projects. This team's goal is to be spreading the word about computational sustainability, lowering that access barrier so that people can really come in and learn about it, maybe with minimal technical experience, and building that community at Cornell and beyond. And I was very lucky to be in a place, to start this because I knew people from all of these flywheels. I knew people from all these different sections, tech, sustainability, communications. And I was like, there needs to be a place where everyone can come together and really forward computational sustainability.
Yeah, that mindset. The mindset, seeing a gap and stepping into it naturally leads to the leadership. That's where I want to go next. You have stepped into serious leadership at the Cornell Data Journal as the executive vice president. What did the leading peers teach you about influence, responsibility, and earning trust, especially when everyone around you is part?
Yeah. Cornell students are very smart, very intelligent. And so, when everyone is operating on the same level of intellectual caliber, right? Being a leader isn't about demonstrating more academic prowess or more like technical capability. It really is about being the person who can get people together, who can rally the people together for a common cause, right? And be that hype person, not only being the hype person, but also being the person who people can rely on. People see you as someone who they can come to. They see you as someone who can step up and see you as someone who can get their work done. And so it's less about, again, like proving any sort of capability in relation to your peers, but being the facilitator. Then you'll naturally have influence that way, right? When they see that you can execute something from start to finish and you can see a project through, naturally trust and influence comes. And by putting yourself out there and bringing people together constantly, that is how the leadership naturally integrates into yourself.
Very true. I want to dig deeper. You recently helped run a major AI hackathon, like showing up early, setting up, speaking up at the opening, watching it all come together. What did that moment teach you about turning an idea into a real living community?
Yeah, so first and foremost, the biggest lesson is you can't do anything without a community. And you can't build anything meaningful or sustainable or long term without a good team by your side. This hackathon was the result of so many weeks of planning with a team of so many people throughout several different organizations coming together to really host this event. And so, at some point in time, there is going to be doubt, obviously. You're going to doubt, is all my hard work going to pay off? There's this logistics issue that we read into. We couldn't figure this out. But having a great team there, having everyone trying their best, coming together, stepping up, being proactive, that is inspiring and that keeps the momentum going. And so at the end of the day, right, the hackathon itself was a lagging indicator. All of that invisible work came first. And so trusting in your team and trusting the process of having a good team and having a community is what makes those ideas go into fruition.
A lot of people learn by copying tools. You're learning it by building communities and asking hard questions. How should young builders think about AI? As a shortcut, a collaborator, or a responsibility?
Yeah, that's a really good question and very prevalent now in today's age of AI. AI is the future, as everyone says, and the young people are the future as well. And I think it is actually all three depending on the circumstance. And here's why. For instance, let us say that you have to ship an MVP really fast and you have a very tight deadline and you're going to be pitching to somebody the next day. At that point, AI should definitely take up a large portion of the work you're doing, but obviously with you as the director, right? But then on the other hand, you have times where you have a little bit more time to give and you have a little bit more time to dig deeper, and you should, right? And that's using AI responsibly. As students, it's our responsibility to be understanding the process, whether that be academically or with any of our personal projects that we're doing. And AI here can be used as a tool to help you dig deeper into why things work. Never be using AI as kind of a way to directly get the answer is the principle that I stand by. Always be using AI as a way to help you get to the answer and stick to critical thinking on your own. That is really the true responsibility that we have, is to be recognizing, is this doing harm? Is using AI here doing harm, or is using AI here helping me leverage the work that I'm doing so that I can ultimately make positive impact on the people I care for?
And taking it forward, you care about sustainability inside business and tech, not just as a moral add on. When you think about AI from a sustainability lens, what do you think people underestimate the most?
I think that people underestimate the positive impact that AI can actually have within the sustainability domain. I acknowledge that there are environmental impacts of AI, and this is also something I am personally interested in, and I'm following on current issues regarding it. And everyone is looking at the environmental implications of AI. But when we look at the net gain from using AI to solve, mitigate, move research towards sustainability issues, we can see that it speeds up processes and research exponentially. We've seen that. It also enhances things like, GIS or satellite. It really proves an extremely useful tool. And so I think people underestimate how helpful AI actually is in the sustainability scene, especially with large data sets. And data is very valuable. And the faster that we can analyze those data sets and draw information from them, the faster we can move forward. And AI is very useful in that aspect.
That's a very good insight. And coming to your campus, looking around, what excites you most about how students are using AI right now, and what quietly worries you?
Yeah, what excites me the most is definitely there is so much power and accessibility at our fingertips now with AI, right? Now you can use AI to learn to code anything, learn anything, search anything with restrictions, however, acknowledging that AI sometimes hallucinates and there's a long way to go for it to be perfect in that aspect. But there's a lot of accessibility and power at our fingertips now that we can use to really be accelerating our learning. Accelerating that learning is really what excites me. And then what concerns me, I touched on this prior, is really just the erosion of true critical thinking. Again, using AI as a means to just get the answer immediately without developing those skills on your own, or at least using AI, like I mentioned, to assist you in developing those skills. I think that's what I'm really worried about.
You think this avoids thinking, or it supports you on the thinking part?
I cannot speak for all students for how I think that this should be approached. Always try and solve it yourself first if you can, and in all instances. And then when you are perhaps at a point where you need some external assistance or are at a dead end, then is the time that you can perhaps, if you're working on a problem set or something, kind of copy that into AI and ask it for assistance, but ask for assistance before just prompting, give the answer. I don't necessarily agree with just giving the answer, is bottom line.
So you have seen both structured research, and you have also seen the messy startup work. What does startup experience teach you that classrooms usually don't?
Yeah, classrooms, right? You can really keep your head down, play the game right, play by the books, and you can emerge with that A. You can get that 4.0. And that's really where kind of the lone wolf, always studying, doesn't interact with any other human being archetype comes from. It comes from that. Startups, if you don't derive any meaningful connection or interaction, you are left behind immediately. You know, all that cold calling, all of that pitching, expanding your network, not necessarily in a transactional sense, but in a way which brings you in proximity with people who have the same mission, drive, ambition, and values as yourself. And I think that this type of networking soft skill is something that startups teach you, which the classroom does to an extent. You may go to office hours, you may work with your peers on an assignment, but I don't think teaches you in so much depth and with so much speed as which working on a startup would.
And all right, no dodging this one. A startup life or research life? Gun to your head. Why?
Startup life for sure. I'm not saying this for clout. I know I'm not like I'm a little bit of adrenaline junkie, but startup life because I really do love the speed at which things move, right? Iterating
Mm,
fast,
mm.
pivoting fast, and also learning as you go in an environment that's a little bit less structured than in a research environment. I think that is what a startup brings. It brings you that little bit of risk and uncertainty, but that actually is exhilarating. It motivates you, it keeps you going, and it really helps you to learn fast. And I think this is a very important skill, adaptability, flexibility under extremely stressful situations in which deadlines might surprise you or things might change very fast. That is what a startup brings that I do not necessarily think research brings you in a general sense.
You have described yourself as a systems thinker in a human centered green tech. Can you elaborate on that and
Yeah.
share a simple guidance part for students listening today?
Yes. So being human centered in green tech means being intentionally interdisciplinary in my mind. So, you know that saying, jack of all trades, master of none, but always better than master of one. And so this means getting really down to the nitty gritty specifics and choosing a specific niche, let's say like agricultural technology or renewable energy within that green tech space, but then expanding outwards, perhaps pairing computational research with a business club or learning about how we can go into consulting within like the clean energy sector because computational sustainability, green tech, again, it is a very interdisciplinary field. It takes a wide range of skill sets and a large variety of people to come together. But if you can be that person who knows a lot about everything, who can have that technical skill set, but who can also have the social aspect as well, you're gold. And it can lead you into like future roles in like project or product management, in which you need to know a little bit of everything. So I would recommend students to really be doubling down on that niche, but then also expanding outward in all different skill sets that would be valuable. And it makes you very employable in the future too. That, you know, a lot of, I've talked to some people in marketing roles and they were like, yeah, we actually really like STEM students in marketing roles because you guys can problem solve in ways that perhaps a marketing student could not. It's very interesting seeing how the landscape.
That's an interesting insight. Yeah. Before we wrap up, let's lighten up the room a bit. Rapid fire. First question, first thought, what comes to your mind? No overthinking.
Okay.
Let's go. Best place on campus to think clearly.
Library stacks. They're just the books. I go there. It's very quiet. You can hear a pin drop, and it's very good for locking in academically or just thinking about whatever you want to think about. I like the atmosphere.
One AI tool you actually use, not just talk about. Don't
Notion.
other than OpenAI.
Okay, the Notion
Yeah.
AI note taker helper function. I use it for the meetings that I attend, and it really is helpful. I organize my whole life on Notion, actually. It has like to-do lists, templates, calendars, but it also has like a really helpful note-taking AI-powered kind of softwares that I use.
Most unexpectedly fun class or a project you have been?
Okay, Introduction to Ancient Rome. Shout out to my professor from that class. I think STEM students keep in touch with your humanities side, like I mentioned. Take a fun humanities class.
Late night data debugging or early morning classes? Which do you survive better?
I cannot survive late night data debug. Early morning classes, I'm a morning person, so 10 to 6 is my sleep schedule, non-negotiable.
If AI were a classmate, would it be a overachiever or the shortcut taker?
Be the overachiever. Because a lot of students are using AI to perfect their work, right? But that's not try hard. I don't know what is.
One sustainability buzzword you are tired of hearing.
ESG, actually. And it's because I think that it is an avenue for a lot of enterprises to greenwash instead of actually integrating it faithfully within all of their processes and effectively.
Coffee or playlist while you're working, studying?
Coffee. Can't listen to music while I study.
One thing about university life, AI can never replace.
Yeah, definitely the self-growth journey. AI can only synthesize, right? And it can only repeat what it's been trained with. But, you know, it can tell you what a tear is, but it can't understand why you cried, right? So that self-growth emotional aspect, something AI can never replace.
We come to the end of the rapid fire, and this has been a very refreshing conversation to me because it reminds us that responsible AI doesn't start in the boardrooms. It starts way early in universities. It starts with curiosity, community, and people willing to ask questions early. And it starts with people like you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your journey with us, dear.
Thank you for having me, Sachin. I really appreciate it. This was great.
You are watching 101 Talks with Sachin Menon, where we break in big complex ideas into simple, grounded conversations. Thank you. See you in the next episode.